And if that is not proof enough, Galdor, there is the other test that I spoke of. Upon this very ring which you have here seen held aloft, round and unadorned, the letters that Isildur reported may still be read if one has strength of will to set the golden thing in the fire a while. That I have done, and this I have read.
Naz Terbatuluk, Ash Naz Gimpatul, Ash Naz Kratkatuluk, Agbersum Ishi Krimpatul.
The change in the wizard's voice was astounding. Suddenly it became menacing, powerful, harsh as stone. A shadow seemed to pass over the high sun, and the porch for the moment grew dark. All trembled, and the elves stopped their ears. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. Hello friends, my name is Jake Montanez, and this is my self-publishing vlog where I document my journey to become published. And started out this video today with some quotes from one of my favorite books of all time, The Fellowship of the Ring. I'm sure you've seen the movies, heard the memes, seen the memes, watched Gollum do random weird stuff. It happens. My journey to writing started way before that, in 5th grade. I was the winner, I guess, in a writing contest that we had at our school district. And my story, which was a short one, it's garbage. I'm not going to read it here because I can't find it. I do have it online somewhere. It's a little short half-page thing that is as immature as a fifth grader would probably write. But that was something that has stuck with me for my entire life, knowing that, hey, I got this tiny little snippet of something published, even though it was garbage. And I know that I could proceed onwards with that, and haven't done so yet. It makes me kind of sad. That little kernel of inspiration, or perhaps confirmation that I had some sort of talent, as infantile as it was at the time, stayed with me as I began a reading journey that has proceeded to exist my entire life. When I was in 4th grade, a little bit before that, I remembered watching the animated Hobbit cartoon as part of a class thing. I don't even remember what it was for, and I thought it was absurd and stupid. And I'm sitting here making fun of Bilbo Baggins. I called him Robo Magnet. That's how disdainful I was at the time. I just thought it was the stupidest thing. But then in 5th grade, I was doing really well in school. I had tested out of the math curriculum within about 2 months of getting into the class, and my 5th grade teacher got me started on pre-calculus. And that sounds like a rambling thing, but I had free time, right? And he was like, "Here, I want you to check these out." And he gave me The Fellowship of the Ring, which I read at the beginning of this video. And that changed my whole mindset of what a story could be like. I'd never really enjoyed reading, that I can remember anyway, until that point. That is the turning point. Mr. White, if you're still out there, I have no idea if you are, but you got me started on all this. And I blew through that whole trilogy in a very short period of time. I don't remember the length. It doesn't really matter. But I loved every snippet of it, and it wasn't until a while later on that I was like, oh yeah, that movie in 4th grade with Robo Magnet, that's Bilbo Baggins. And it just felt really like an absurd out-of-body experience for a brief period of time. But after that, my aunt got me her copy of Terry Brooks, and gave me Sword of Shannara to read. And she had the hardcover copy of it. I don't know how early it was, but it was up there. I mean, this was late 80s, early 90s, somewhere around there. And I ended up taking that book plus the Elfstones plus Wish Song all home, and I think they're still at my parents' house. I never gave them back. I'm sorry, but I was at the library all the time. I ended up picking up all the other books that were available, which there weren't very many. I think it was the Heritage of Shannara's story that was the only other one that was out there. The four books in that, and then from there it cascaded into all of his other books, which there weren't many at the time. It was like the Magic Kingdom for Sale sold. Dove into Dragonlance. I read a whole lot of those, and it just kind of spiraled and snowballed from there. So I've been interested in reading fantasy a lot longer than I'd like to care to admit, I guess. Science fiction fell in with all of that. Big fan of Star Wars and Jurassic Park. It's not always space battles. It's things like that. But the spacey stuff kind of called to me more. My dad got me into Star Trek: The Next Generation, so I was the next generation that watched Star Wars. He was the one who was watching, Star Trek, and he was the one that was watching Star Trek in the 60s. So it was kind of a neat little thing for me to go and record it on Saturday nights when it came on when he was at work, so he'd be able to watch it when he was home the next day or whatever. So all of these stories kind of congeal in my head, and I don't remember the details of every single one of them. I don't know if I can recall a lot of things, but for a long period of time, I read Lord of the Rings pretty much annually for about 15 years or so. And when the movies came out, I know I saw Fellowship of the Ring 10 times in the theater, thought it was freaking amazing. I've got my own theories, not theories, but thoughts and things about that movie. And I saw the other sequels, not as much because I was in the Navy at the time, so I didn't have the free time to go see those as many times as I would have preferred. But 10 times, actually 11 when they re-released the trilogy later on. I've seen that. I saw episode 1 of Star Wars, and I saw Titanic, of all things. I loved that movie. I don't know why. But all of those I've seen 11 times in the theater, and that's kind of ridiculous. But hey, whatever, that's a side tangent. So where does that bring me in my writing journey? Well, these are the worlds that my brain has dwelt in. Just a small snippet of the worlds that my brain has dwelt in. You can throw in there Dragon Riders of Pern. You can throw in there the Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars trilogy by Kim Stanley Robinson. You can throw in there Ender's Game and the whole slew of books that goes along with that. All over the place, right? And I'm reading all of these through my time in the Navy going, I want to write something as friggin' awesome as all of these books are. And I've written, like I've said, a lot of different short stories, but nothing that was really ever novel length until I got out of the Navy. And that journey started with a couple of friends that I had as they were, well, one of them in particular was retiring right around the same time I did. He set up a group called co-authored on Facebook. It's pretty much a dead group. We got like 15, 20 members in there. But for a short period of time, we were writing a story together, and it was an interesting collaborative experience that I kind of unintentionally took over doing most of it as people were going too slow and my brain was just on fire trying to write down things. I would rewrite certain parts of other people's portions of the story, and I do have that on Royal Road, my updated, changed version of it. But that was like the big spark. I'm sitting here and going, this is a really interesting experience to be doing. These guys were creating ideas. I was creating ideas. I was absorbing the ideas of others and synthesizing them in my head and spitting out stuff. And these guys are like, whoa, what is going on here? This is amazing. At least that was my impression of it, my interpretation of it. Whether that's actually the case or not, well, I'm sure they keep that to themselves, how they feel about it. But for me, that was like the catalyst that got me back into writing again. And if you want to read that, you can look me up on Royal Road, look up Fire Soul. It's a fragmented story. It's not done. It probably never will be done, partially out of respect for the co-authors that I was working on it with, who ultimately dropped out and said, yeah, you can go ahead and write this part for me too. You can write this part for me too. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do this without you guys. So I started writing my own thing, and that's where I started writing Lightblessed. So this has become a long, rambling story, but I think it provides a little bit of context, a little bit of backstory of what I'm used to reading, what I'm used to writing, what I like to consider the genesis of my author journey. So, if that was interesting, cool. I appreciate it. Stick around. Throw me a like, subscribe, share this video, get words out. Every little bit helps. I just recently passed 120 or reached 125 subscribers on YouTube and just crossed the line of 100 on TikTok, which is not great on either of those counts, simply because I've been doing YouTube for like 3 or 4 years now, and I'm just at 125. Granted, my videos are intermittent, but it is what it is. So if you'd like to follow me, I would greatly appreciate it. My book should be coming out soon. The deadline is, we'll see if I can meet my deadline. We'll just leave it at that. But when the book's ready, the book's ready. Just like George Martin says, with the often maligned, often criticized lack of content for the Song of Ice and Fire. Have a nice day. Thank you.